Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another indie comic book review. But we're not in our room. Why? Either before or after this video, you guys are going to know why. And that's because we actually put up our Christmas tree in our room, and this one has nowhere to sit anymore. Or actually, no, I have nowhere to sit anymore.
So we have nowhere to sit
Right,
anymore.
so we can't do it in there. So for the next 3-4 weeks-ish, we're going to be doing the indie reviews like the comic review in the kitchen. However, we're not going to set up the background.
Yeah, because that's a lot.
That's a lot of setting up, and we're going to be doing that tomorrow night for the Dark Avenger comic review. At some point, we'll see if we'll change our minds with that, but for right now, no. So we got how many physical books?
We have
3 this week and 1 that you're going to be talking about. And we have 12 digital, 1 to 3 that aren't part of this week.
Yes.
That's a lot of books. So, let's waste no time and jump into the non-physical book. I'm going to jump in with Argo 5 because I want to jump in really on Argo 5. I read actually issues 4 and 5. Yes, that's the issue cover. Because of the ending to issue 4. Guys, if you have not, if you are looking to jump into Argo 5 at this point, I would recommend you jump in from issue 1, especially because in Argo 4, there's a lot of references back to issue 1 and other previous stories. By the way, this issue, though, this story arc, it is to be continued. That's why I actually am glad I had issue 5 also, because I'm one of those people where if you leave me on a cliffhanger like that and I have the next issue, I'm going to run and read the next issue, but we're not going to talk about the next issue on here. We're going to talk about it next week. By the way, this is episode number 10.
The double digits
of the indie reviews.
That's awesome.
So, Argo 5, number 4 was spectacular. Shazrath goes back to, and I knew I was going to forget the second I had the chance to, we started this review. He went back to where he's from, which is Desden. And Desden is in ruins, and the council is all turned to stone. And everybody is turned to stone except for one person. His evil brother. I'm going to say it wrong, I know it. Gadun. G-H-A-D-U. Gadu.
You're Gadu.
Gadu.
That's what it sounds like.
Gadu too.
Gotta you too to do.
So, Shazrath knows that his evil brother is on Earth, and he wants Argo 5 to help him find his evil brother and set things right with his people to fix everything. And it turns out his brother was enlisted to Megacorp, and Megacorp actually wanted Argo 5 as part of their team at one time.
Wow,
and guess who leads them? You're never going to believe who leads them.
Who leads them?
His name is General Thor.
Are you serious, General Thor?
And he also has his own Mjolnir.
Oh.
There it is.
It's kind of like Thor's ham, only it's a little different in some way.
And let me tell you something right now. I hate General Thor. I don't like him, and I don't like his team. Shazrath basically stops General Thor's hammer, literally, and he's like even shocked. So. He's like, "It's impossible," and he just punches him and says, "Dude, you're just a what's the word I'm looking for?
Like not strong?
No, I want to get it right. You're just a Norse myth. My power comes from a higher power." And then, but this is the part where I hate the Megacorp and General Thor. Basically, his people see that he gets knocked down, and they all attack Argo 5, and it becomes a huge fight. And Shazrath sees Gadu, but I'm not going to spoil the rest of the book. But let's just say that it leaves you with a really heavy cliffhanger, and everybody believes Gadu, and Megacorp believes, General Thor believes that Gadu was actually, he escaped where
Yeah.
One thing we did forget to take off is is that. I'm so glad after this month that's gonna stop too. But Gandu said he escaped the attack that was going on, where actually he's the one that caused the attack, or did he?
Yeah,
You find out in the
I'm
next
gonna go
issue.
shut it off.
No, you don't have to. It's gonna stop in a few minutes. I really enjoyed this issue. I left out the beginning. There was a funny scene with Chain Reaction.
The artwork
and
is
Blue
really
Dynamo.
amazing.
I really like the artwork in this book also. This book was awesome. Also, tons of pages. Once again, of pinups. Love that as always an extra part of the book.
The gallery, yeah.
Gotta love the pinups by several amazing artists. This story is amazing, and if you guys have not checked out Argo 5 by now, I would highly recommend you guys go to argo.com or argocomics.com and check it out. I think I just said it wrong. Now I'm going to actually, since I have a computer right in front of me, I'm going to click and...
Yeah, because
I need to make sure. Yes,
yeah.
argocomics.com. And check it out. There's a gallery and everything.
Doesn't it say that on the comic book? argocomics.com?
It does, but I don't have the comic in front of me, do I? I have it digitally.
Digital.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying I could... You're so smart, aren't you?
That's why I'm here.
3 in the morning. You're really smart. Anyway, Argo 5, I can't say enough amazing things about the book. The book's already almost at issue 10. Unfortunately, my digital journey ends at issue 5 for right now. And but there are 10 issues out, of almost 10, nearly 10 issues of Argo 5 out, I believe. I know that I saw issue 8 and 9, I believe. So there are 9 issues currently out of Argo 5.
Yep.
And Dan, if Dan is watching this, I'm sure he'll correct me in the comments about how many issues are out. But this has been an amazing story thus far. This is something that I would expect to be reading a long time ago that promoted. I'm talking about like a lot of... Argo 5 is a really awesome team book compared to a lot of the other books I've read. I don't want to throw names out because I don't want to start fights with other companies. But beside the point, as far as a team book, this is a really great team book compared to other team books that I've read outside the big two. I will say that, outside the big two in a very long time. So I would highly recommend you guys check out Argo 5. You will not regret it. The artwork is beautiful. The story is amazing. And all around, even if I didn't know Dan, and I actually didn't know him when I started. We didn't know him like we had just talked at New York Comic Con. After reading issue 2, I loved the series. So having the other 4 issues up to 5 was a plus. So I'm gonna stop with that. Next week, issue 5, which is the conclusion to this story arc. I'm looking forward to reviewing that. So Mike, your next book outside of this week is, of course, yes, Time Upside Down.
Assailing Comics, Chris Charleston's book of Black of Heart, issue number 2, the physical copy, and I have it signed that I got from him at New York Comic Con, and I thank you once again for signing Black of Heart as well as the Binary Gray comic book. So, Black of Heart, like, it's, it talks about, it talks about the cases that have been going on. Like, basically, this one guy...
Very
just
dark artwork.
It is dark artwork, but there is some color that's added to it. And it looks classical. It's like you're reading an old detective comic book, like, you know, like when you're watching a TV about stuff like that.
I'm going to set up the next one while you're doing that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's just like a whole big thing of them finding out this taxi driver who murdered this woman. And by the way, this is... a little bit of nudity, you know, on this part, as well as blood and gore. So I do prefer adult readers to read this comic book. Just throwing out there as a disclaimer. So this taxi cab, they just want to find out who was responsible for this woman's death, and it's in Brooklyn, New York, where our hometown is, Brooklyn. And they're just chasing him to find out, you know, who he is, or who the person is. And basically that's what this whole book, just to sum it up, is. There's lots of car action and detective work. And they say that this person that they found was a white male, over 6 feet tall, gray hair and glasses, and all the other descriptions. And he might be armed and dangerous, this person. So they're just going to try to find a lead to him and see what goes on. But the ending part was, let's just say a woman found out something that the dentist didn't want her to find out. And I think that he's the killer of this whole thing of the taxi cab. So, yeah. And that's to be continued in the next chapter of, well, this is the chapter 3 that they show, because this is chapter 2, Eye of the Beholder. I, however, don't have issue number 3 on me, you know, digitally or physical copy, but,
You can contact.
but I'm gonna contact him and see if he can send it to me PDF file. But this comic book has been...
But digitally.
Yeah, digitally, yeah. But this comic book has been flat out really great to read, and I would definitely highly recommend for adult readers to read Black of Heart. And you can check out their website at assaliancomics.com. They have amazing stuff for you there, so go check them out and see for yourselves what you think of the issues.
Now we're in the last chapters of 2 trade paperbacks. The first 2 that we've read. So we'll see. Maybe we'll jump into another trade paperback soon.
Yeah.
So let's start with Zenescope, and let's start with the final chapter of
Robin
Volume 2.
Hood. Volume 2.
Thank you. So Mike, I read the end of Volume.
Oh man.
See now, I remember on Patrick Shen's Twitter, he actually said that people were so mad, but they didn't realize. He already announced before this issue that there was going to be a 3rd chapter, the ending.
Well, the ending, I mean...
I'm not mad because if you,
I was
as a
mad
logical
because it builds
person,
up the dramatic stuff to it.
but
What's
as a
gonna happen?
logical person, you can see that that's not going to be the end of Robin Hood.
Yeah, because
that's impossible. There's definitely going to be another issue.
Yeah,
another
absolutely.
volume, another story arc. They're not just going to end it like that.
Yeah, and I like how in this issue
Let's
it
go to the
starts
beginning
off
of it, yeah.
where in Volume 1 where she defeated Gisborne. And mainly it was just focusing more on the sheriff, who is Cal from last issue. And they also go back to the part where they took him out of the burning building. And we did see that in Volume 1 of the last issue. And mainly it just focuses on Gisborne, the sheriff, and Robin Hood. You know, there's just like a whole fight. Everybody's hating Gisborne. Like, Gisborne just thinks he's like the old superior, and the sheriff just goes after him, while Robin Hood goes to look for Marion, who is kidnapped from Gisborne. She finds her, and she's trying to trace where they were, and yeah, you get that little action. I was just like, wow. She's just tracing steps back of where she was to get like more information and stuff like that. So she's just showing her around with all that. By the way, I will point out that the artwork is amazingly and fantastically drawn throughout this whole entire chapter of Robin Hood. So I just want to point that out. There's a whole battle scene where Friar is going to... he wants to know where Will was, and Will meets up with the sheriff and Gisborne, who are fighting each other. And there's just a whole bunch of action between Will and Gisborne, and Friar comes to help, but things don't end up so well with
For
him.
several characters.
Yeah, and then his friend does a little, you know, like take my soul and yada yada yada, like that little praise thing that they do. And, you know... Marion wanted to stay to fight, but Robin's saying, this is my fight, I don't want you to get involved in this, just, you know, he asked Friar's friend to take her out. The whole thing about the sheriff, you know, having Will and, like, almost killing him, but then Robin Hood and him worked together to get rid of him. And he just kept coming back to life. Like, there was no way of killing him. Like, he was just, like, immortality, it looked like, from when they brought him back to life. And this is where it gets to the part of what happened in the end. Like, in the end of this issue, Will gets stabbed to the chest by the sheriff, and Robin Hood doesn't like that because there's a portal actually where the sheriff throws, I'm gonna say Cal, where Cal threw in her own earth, which was ironically at a police station, and they knew that was Robin Loxley, the murderer. And it leaves the end right there. After seeing that, it makes me want to say, when's Volume 3 coming out? Or when...
Absolutely.
It built... I mean, I wasn't mad at this. I mean, maybe for some people they took it a different way because of that, but this built the suspense to actually say, okay, I gotta see what happens next in
This
Volume
had
3.
the action. This had
5 out of 5 Volume 2 was. The whole
Volume
series.
2 was spectacular. Patrick Chan, once again,
Definite.
I swear, if we had an awards every year for writers, Patrick Chan won this
Definitely.
year, hands down, because he started the year with Volume 1 of Robin Hood. He did the... He just started Quest.
Yeah.
He also did the Unleashed.
Yeah, he did that.
And I'm, oh my god, why?
No, not Grim Fairy Tales. He did, he's done a number of books that are just phenomenal.
Yeah, but what's the book that I'm always
Wonderland?
talking about? No, the one that I have on my wall. With the gods with Zeus.
Oh, the Grim Fairy Tales.
No, it isn't. Go check the wall if you don't. If you think I'm
I'll
wrong.
go check.
But beside the point, Patrick Chan has been a spectacular writer since the first issue. Thank you. Why did I forget that? It's so I'm so tired. It's so late, guys. Godstorm. Godstorm issue 0 was my introduction to Patrick Chan, and since Godstorm, his work has just improved and gotten amazing, and his stories are still breathtaking to
It's
read
phenomenal.
in the Zenoscope universe.
There's no other way
And
to
I know
describe
he's involved with issue 100 of Grim Fairy Tales, and that's going to be spectacular when it hits.
Yes.
It's going to be spectacular. Patrick Chan's writing, never doubt the man. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Next, we're going into the last chapter,
Yeah, this
or the
is
second to last chapter.
No, this is the last chapter.
The last chapter of
Now, hopefully you got the right...
Terminator: The Burning Earth. Yes,
yeah,
it is.
It has the red thing. Like the last one had the Terminator on the cover. Is that the one? No, that was the last issue. So we have to... Yeah, so basically let me explain what happened in this one. The whole issue, it was a quick read, so to say. Like, it took me maybe
Oh,
five...
here you go.
Yeah, like it took 5 minutes to read. Yeah,
Chapter 5, The Heart of Skynet.
Yeah. This book focused on them shutting off the generator of the whole Skynet thing. You know, that was really the whole book, you know, of that chapter, of getting rid of the Terminators, or Skynet and her Terminators team, and shutting off the generators to stop the whole robots from, you know, destroying everything. So, the artwork is great, and, you know, the whole action and adventure of how they were to shut off the generator. And there was a lot of stuff that they had to do to shut off that generator. Like, I didn't even think they would make it out of there, because I was thinking, like, if I was there, I would have said, are you crazy to do this, you know, what they were planning? But it actually worked. And they shut off the generator before the Terminator was going to kill him. But the end... I think we're gonna see more Terminator action based on how we saw the end was. But again, just like Robin Hood, like a great way to end the comic book and to build the suspense, like saying this isn't over yet. There's more to be expected in the further.
Terminator never.
Terminators.
Back then, Terminator was a franchise that was not going to end.
By the way, the whole series does get a 5 out of 5 as well. The whole Terminator Burning Earth. Ron Fortier did an amazing job on this.
And Alexis Ross's artwork is
Alex
amazing.
Ross,
as well.
oh.
Ron Fortier.
Yeah, takes your breath
we're
away.
not even going to talk about Ron's writing because there's no question about Ron's writing either. This is an amazing book. I loved reading it. It gave me back that little bit of nostalgic moment because I didn't watch Terminator 3 or Salvation. I after Terminator 2, it was the definitive the end.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to go to 3, they didn't have to go to Salvation, and they don't have to go to the next movie, which they're already planning. No,
Right.
we're actually going into the physical books first.
Oh.
So, with that, we are now officially done with all the books outside of this week, and we're now jumping into the books that were released on December 4th, 2013.
Yep.
The first week of the last month of the year. And I'm starting with a spectacular book of the week for me, and that is the final issue of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Micro Series Villains, issue number 8, Shredder. This has been the issue we've all been waiting for. And what's this issue about? It actually doesn't take place anywhere except after the final issue of Fall of the City, or City Fall.
City Fall.
City Fall. And actually, it ties into the present a bit, but there's no continuation of the story. Apparently, this is about what happened to Shredder after he died, or after he performed, I forgot what the Japanese thing is, but basically, right before he stabbed himself to death, and he died and was put into his cryogenic rest, so to speak. And he apparently went to the afterworld, but he was just temporarily there. And while he was there, he was warned by one of, I don't know what the heck this was, a demon god or whatever, not to mess around with anything, just to live and leave every other soul alone. And of course that doesn't happen. He wants to become the ruler of the afterlife as well, so he bands together a group of soldiers who are basically soldiers who aren't done fighting yet. They still have fight and they want to still fight. And he uses them to invade the palace, which is where the ruler of the afterlife is. He fights and actually wins the battle against the ruler of the afterlife, only here's the ironic part. The ruler of the afterlife is himself older.
That is ironic.
And then he woke up, and also there was premonitions the demon gave to him about him leading great armies, which he did in City Fall, and they won. And then the world being conquered, and then consumed by mutants and aliens, which is what I'm sure the Turtles are going to prevent now. And then that he's going to walk the earth alone, conquer, and then he'll be trapped in the afterlife. And he's telling this whole story to Kitsune, who's like questioning why he's so out of it, why he's so distant and everything. And she just pushes it off as maybe it was a dream, you were testing yourself. And he's like, yeah, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. She walks away, and then he has a lot of internal dialogue saying to himself, like, I know that's not true because every time I close my eyes I still see it, but it's okay. I now know what's going to happen, and I'm going to change that. I'm going to change the future. I'm going to change my destiny now that that young demon told me everything. Now I know what to not do. And he said, I will conquer, and I will conquer everything as I always do. This is a spectacular book. It definitely delves you deep into the mind of Shredder. Loved it. Highly recommend you guys check it out. Once again, the micro series was spectacular. Whole micro series, 5 out of 5 stars. Turtles are just spectacular. This is my book of the week.
Alright. Vertigo Comics, Hinterkind, issue number 3. As I said, my in-depth comic review on Dark Revenge Inc., by the way. This has been a pretty good issue so far. Mainly, this whole book talks about John's divergent species friends that Prosper and Angus met with in the last issue. And they just talk about themselves, and here's some artwork, which is pretty good artwork. And there's just like a whole big thing of John saying about who they are and how he's not an elf, because Prosper thought that he was an elf. Then we get these weird gas masks visitors. We don't know who they were. They just used smoke to bring them we don't know where until we find out further in the issue. Meanwhile, Dr. Monday finds out a solar farm, and he wants to know like who's generating it and everything. And one of them shot the gas mask people, and he didn't like that, because he had a screwdriver. He wasn't armed or anything. But there was something strange about that, and Dr. Monday gets not shot but tasered. And meanwhile, Prosper and Angus wake up in this nightmare cell where these gas mask people burn the mutants. And I think in this issue, it looked like Angus died. I am not sure. But the way I keep seeing the picture, it looked like he did die in this issue. Because he was a divergent species, not a mutant, because they don't call them mutants in this issue. And they just want to know what they're going to do with Prosper, since she's normal. Meanwhile, as we saw from the beginning, Star finds something at the end, and what it is, you guys have definitely got to read this comic book or watch my in-depth comic book review. This comic book has been really, it's like building up, and it's like a really good story for those of you who read it. It is for adult readers between the ages of 16 to 18 years old, I would say. There is some swearing and also a little bit graphic, but I do prefer between those age of readers to read that comic book. And here is the awesome book of Archie Comics, Sonic the Hedgehog, issue number 255 of Sonic the Hedgehog, Countdown to Chaos, Part 3, where Sonic and Tails are on a search for Bunny, which is what half of the beginning part is. And here's some artwork of Bunny right there. And she just talks about, you know, how she went undercover and they just like catch up with stuff and everything else that's going on. And we get to where Dr. Eggman has a transporter to the Death Egg ready as he requested, and he got that, and he wants to change this new reality to his world. Like, he just wants to
Didn't he learn from the last time?
Well, obviously it didn't click in his head very well. Like, he just wants a new reality, a new history to be permanently the way he wants it. There is lots of action where Sonic and Bunny work together, and they work amazingly together with the whole generator acting up. There is a Worlds Collide mention in this, where Dr. Eggman and Super Sonic were facing each other because it's like deja vu. And Bunny touches Nicole's transporter thing, and just like the other characters, they get their flashback memories where she remembers everything. So Nicole is back to herself where she's going to find Sal, and Sonic is going to look for Amy to see what's going on.
And it leads into Sonic Universe.
Yeah, but Dr. Eggman finds someone on radar, and it is actually Sally, who they are looking for, and
he wants to make sure that Sonic never sees her alive again.
And sends Metal Sonic to track it.
Track her.
To track her, yeah. And there's an off panel that's funny, and a preview cover, which I did show in my in-depth comic review as well.
Awesome stuff.
Awesome stuff, absolutely. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better, and it's just building up to a whole new level. And I can't wait to see the next issue of if Amy Rose is going to return, because I believe the next issue is the conclusion, which ironically comes out next year in January.
Go figure.
Of 2014.
Alright guys, that's the alarm, so that means give us one little click of a button and we shall continue with the books. Yeah. We have 9 more to go, so hang tight and we will be right back. Or just hang tight for a second and we'll continue. Yeah. Okay, and we're back. Let's continue on. Let's start with, actually, since we were talking about Terminator, let's actually talk about Terminator Salvation, the final battle. Issue 1 of 12. It's a 12-issue maxi series. So it's a year-long series. Ending this time next year, meaning, well, maybe November of next year. That's how big this event is.
And is it just me, or does this remind you of the third Terminator
I didn't watch the third Terminator movie. There is references to the woman who was in Terminator 3.
Right.
And there was also references to Terminator 1.
I thought you said you didn't watch Terminator 3.
I know that there was a woman bad guy in Terminator 3, and also we talked about it on the live show.
Okay, so you've seen a glimpse of it, yeah. But it does have that feel in the beginning where, do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to?
I wanted to talk about it.
Oh,
You
okay.
just talked about several
Go
books.
ahead. I don't want to steal your spotlight.
3 Terminators end up back in the present. Well, what we believe is the present or their present, and 1 soldier from the human side is now in the present. We don't know at first why the 3 Terminators are there, and we don't know why the guy is there. All we know is they're looking for somebody called Thomas Parnell.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for Thomas Parnell. And then we jump into the year 2029, where John Connor is actually planning his final attack on the Terminators and Skynet to shut them down once and for all, even if it means the end of his own life.
Yeah, and it's weird about the Skynet thing, because when I read Burning Earth, I'm like saying, wait a minute, didn't they do that? But then the ending cover didn't look that way. Unless this is a totally different ball game, I'm not sure.
And then the thing that was really awesome, and it connects to the first Terminator movie, is where they're actually, in 2029, they're trying to make the time travel device.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the time where they actually fix it. And I love how they actually fixed it all, and they made it make sense where, what was his name?
Which one?
Kate.
Yeah.
Where Kate goes to John, well, won't Skynet know that it sent Terminators back to try to kill you and it failed? And John says it doesn't matter. Skynet was not aware until it was turned on. And when it was turned on, all the Terminators were destroyed already. And apparently, timeline-wise, that's when Terminator 3, the movie, happened. So all those past attacks on John Connor, they were never logged. So Skynet didn't know that it lost. And Skynet, also mentioned here, Skynet sent back from Terminator 1 the T-800 or the T-900, whatever it was.
I think it was the 800.
The 800, which is the weakest of the Terminator models, because it didn't trust the time portal they had yet, so they didn't want to risk one of their higher, more powerful Terminators, so they sent back one of the weakest models.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, like I said during the live show, Terminator is a timeline backwards. I believe that the events of Terminator 3 with the Terminator that was in Terminator 3, whichever one it was, the Liquid Woman.
Oh, that woman that was the Terminator, yeah.
Yeah, and then Terminator 2 where it was also the Liquid, the T whatever.
Yeah, that
and
was
then the
guy.
T-800 again came back when he was the good guy. And then we go to Terminator 1 and it's just the Terminator. And it's the T-800 again.
So yeah, it does play a role.
So it's a backwards timeline. So the last Terminator, or the first attempt, it's hard to explain. Basically, it's a backwards timeline.
It's just everything is just all going backwards. It's like opposite of what you would see in the movie.
So we're at the end of the fight between Skynet and the human race, and it turns out, spoiler alert here, a doctor, Dr. Kogan, actually is working with Skynet. The only human working with Skynet. And why? Basically, she walks around Skynet and around the Terminators like, no big deal, because she believes in the Terminators, and she sided with Skynet. That was her choice. And then it turns out, in the present, those 3 Terminators weren't sent to kill anybody. They were sent to save or cure Dr. Kogan. That's what made me go, wow.
Yeah, and the artwork is really drawn amazing.
Really great artwork, and the story's already shaping up to be something really awesome. And also, let's not forget the soldier that was sent back looking for Thomas Parnell, who's actually the person that they're going to switch into a Terminator, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. But I read this and I was like, wow. Because it does refer to the Terminator movies, but like he said, backwards and all opposite is really when you read this comic book. For those of you who have or haven't watched Terminator, you should check it out.
It was a really good book. There's a first issue of 12. Highly recommend you guys check out Terminator Salvation, The Last Stand.
Yep.
Alright, do we have anything
My
else from
makes
Dark
weird
Horse?
sounds.
Let's actually jump into really quick Hellboy issue 5.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is Hellboy in Hell issue number 5. And a lot of people thought this was going to be an ongoing series. And Mike Mignola actually went on record saying this was not an ongoing series. This was supposed to only be a couple of issues, and then that's it. As a matter of fact, it took a while for issue 5 to come out. And this issue is actually titled the 3 Gold Whips. And Hellboy's still in hell, and he meets up with this guy who is asking if Hellboy knows where the cemetery is, and if he could help him. And Hellboy, of course, says, sure, why not, I guess, nothing else I'm doing.
Right.
And then you get the whole backstory on the character that Hellboy's helping, and how he was a soldier at one time, and then he met a devil, or a demon, who gave him and 2 other soldiers who were basically, they were, what's the word I'm looking for?
I didn't get a chance to read this one. Because I had so many other
They
books
ran.
I was reading.
They ran from the war, basically, and they met this devil, and he gave them all 3 of them, this whip. And every time they whipped the ground with the whip, it made gold coins. What was the price? Their souls. They got to do this for 7 years, and then their souls belonged to him. However, they could earn their souls back by answering one specific question. And that question is, when I come to take you to hell, I'll have you guess what meal waits for you there, and how you shall eat it, and how you shall drink.
That's,
So,
something else.
so Hellboy helps this soldier figure out the answers. This way he can get his soul back, or earn his soul back. And it turns out they bump into the demon's grandmother.
Oh.
And the grandmother actually helps them out in finding out what the answer to the question is.
That's very weird. Like thinking that the grandmother would help them. That's really something else. And the artwork is very dark, but it's understandable because it's Hellboy in hell. I mean, it's supposed to be.
And then the soldier thanks Hellboy. He goes to meet up with the demon apparently. And then back in the days, the soldier's name was Jules Eugene. And etched on the stone where his dead body lied on August 1st, 1819, on the stone it was etched, his soul, his own. So he earned his soul back. However, he's still dead.
Well, yeah, after that many years
I
ago.
love Hellboy. Hellboy is one of the comics that I enjoy reading from Dark Horse, next to Star Wars. My 2 favorite series that come out of Dark Horse.
I've just seen the movies.
Again, I highly recommend Hellboy. I highly recommend anything Star Wars. Also, this week came out The Star Wars, which is the original George Lucas script. It's issue 4. I didn't read it yet. I'm reading it in small pieces here, there, and everywhere. I'm up to issue 3, but I'm 2 issues behind, so we won't discuss it. But that's another series I would recommend. So let's jump into some holiday cheer, shall we? With Grim Fairy Tales 2013 Holiday Edition. You talk about this one.
Yes. Let me just show the cover first. Alright, when I read this comic book, I couldn't believe that Robin Hood was actually in this one, along with other people.
Sela and I cannot remember this other woman's name at the moment.
Van Helsing?
Oh, right, Van Helsing, yes.
Van Helsing, yeah. They just have a Christmas get-together, and when I was seeing the way Robin was, like, she looked like she was, like, not mean or anything. Like, she wasn't, like, this type of person that was, like, really dangerous.
She was not mean.
Not mean. I mean, what I meant to say was, you know, like, sometimes she felt... What? I wasn't saying she was, like... Well, anyway, they all get together.
Right.
For the holiday cheer.
Right.
And they're exchanging gifts with each other. And what I liked about this issue is that
each gift went into another
about a story, right? Like the first one talked about this guy who like owned a store, and then he was jealous about someone being better than him and everything.
And he beat him to death with a book.
And beat him to death because nobody really met his store or anything, and things don't end out too well for the guy, and it was just like really something else. And it did that when they were like doing gifts, like the hat with the camera was the second gift that was given to Robin.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's to Robin. And this one talked about this guy who had anger problems, and then he was like saying, I don't know why I was acting like that. And then it was just really all over the place with him being mad 1 second and then not, and then...
It's because he was gay and everybody knew it, but he didn't want to be called that or something like that.
Right. And let's just say he got hung by the highest tree in the end.
Yeah, that's a good way to...
That's a good way to put it.
By the way, that's not a camera on the hat. That's a steampunk hat.
Yeah. Something like that, because I was just looking at that. And then this one was the really cool one, where the sword was the next gift, which...
Brittany is also, by the way, Red Riding Hood, if you didn't know.
Yeah, the one turns to the wolf, I know.
Yeah.
And they talk about how they got the sword, along with the story that was behind that. And what a story behind that. I mean, I don't want to describe that, because that's just...
Yeah, definitely older readers, everybody.
Really older readers. And then there's these demons who come to... I mean, you know that it had to be some action in the book, which is what I like to see.
It was funny, the demon showed up and he was taken out in like literally 2 pages. Krampus.
Krampus, yeah. And there's a whole thing of them fighting each other, and one demon who got away, like saying,
next year.
like, next year, Robin, you will be dead, you know, because of all that. So
it leaves it open for the next holiday
but
issue.
It did say in the square that Robin Hood is not going soft. Like, she's like, I'm not going soft or anything, because I was like saying, oh good, because I was like, you know, it wasn't weird. It was just like, since I read Robin Hood, I didn't expect her to be like this other character, but then again, there's a good side of people, and that's what I liked about seeing Robin Hood. But if you guys are into the holiday cheer, and if you really like Robin Hood and the rest of the people that she hangs out with, you'll definitely enjoy this issue. I just can't wait to see what their plans are to get, or try to get, Robin Hood for next year.
Alright, and then actually, let's continue forward with you. You read Digital First, I believe this is Hit List, issue number 3. What'd you think of that book? I didn't read Hit List at all.
Hit List was pretty interesting. It talks about an origin story of, you know, about 2 kids who had parents and that they were shot by people. And it jumps into the future where one, I forgot what his name was. Like, he was an adult now, and he talks to...
Jordan?
Jordan, thank you. And they're just having a little bit of a talk with each other about their mission of what they're doing. They go into this prison where they meet this guy who gets shot at by a sniper rifle by a guy in a far, far, far away distance. And we see that right there at the comic
hitman
issue.
or an assassin.
Like a hitman assassin, like more or less those two. And there's just like a big meeting where this one guy's saying that he's not really that crazy about joining all this. I think his name was Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Which
no, it wasn't Mike. That was his the hidden name.
Oh yeah, he was someone else.
Aaron.
And this one woman in there's like saying, you know, like, oh, just say our regular names, you know, you don't have to call us by our code names and this and that. Like, she was a little bit like antsy, sort of. And he just said, like, he just wants to leave. Like, they gave a briefcase with money, and he just went out and quit. Because he said you could stay with the money get paid, or you could just walk out, and that's what he did. It's really like a whole bunch of stuff. You guys should definitely read it, because it's a heavy, you know, like in dialogue, some of them. The ending part about the 2 girls who were getting kidnapped by this guy, like, he just wants to find out information about the night they were found by these guys. And that's where it leaves off to be continued for the next issue. So it's really interesting. I would say give it a check and see what you guys think about it, but more or less, it's all over the place. I'm trying to think of other words to say, but that's pretty much it.
Next, I'm going to continue with Dark Cybertron in Transformers More Than Meets the Eyes, issue number 24. Lots going on here, lots of different artwork as you move forward. So, Ultra Magnus is somewhere in the universe looking for Metroplex, right? Metroplex. Yeah. Let's say that. And they come face to face with a bunch of Minicons. Only the Minicons aren't too happy about with the Autobots. Why, we don't know yet. And all of a sudden, they start attacking the ship. While back in Cybertron, they're all recovering from the shockwave that came out of the Titan. And things are definitely not going well for Starscream at all. Basically, he's marked. Scoop is like, you're the one that doomed us all. We should have never followed you. You're going to be the ruination of all of Cybertron. Jumps back to Ultra Magnus, and they're trying to formulate a plan to stop and fight the Minicons. Then we go to the Dead Universe, where Optimus Prime, Rodimus, and I forgot the other person who's there with, and Cyclonus are, and I don't want to give away too much dialogue here, but it's a lot about what's been going on in More Than Meets the Eyes, and then they come face to face with another Autobot inside the Dead Zone, who I'm not going to spoil in this issue. You got to read it for yourself. Dark Cybertron's amazing. And then we get Megatron, who actually, when Shockwave remade his body, and apparently Metal Hawk made his choice in whether he's an Autobot or a Decepticon. Apparently he's a Decepticon since he's working with Shockwave. That, or he's just on Shockwave's side. And he actually asks Megatron to join him. And Megatron's like, I have to serve under you? I don't think so. And he's like, you know what? Better that you didn't. Better that you're not.
Wow.
And basically he's the gateway for something. And that's where I'm leaving off there. I'm not going to say what it is. But basically, through Megatron, we're going to have a lot of crap going on Cybertron. So hopefully Optimus will get there soon. And we also find out that the Lost Light finds Metroplex. And that's where it leaves off. This was an awesome issue. I'm loving Dark Cybertron. It's a really great read. If you like Transformers, guys, highly recommend you guys check this book out. We're going to jump back to Dark Horse because I missed this. It's actually The Occultist, issue 3 of 5. Mike's exclusively reading it, so how is it?
The Occultist, it's really like talking about when they go into the alternate universe. The alternate universe?
Spirit world. Or
the spirit world,
whatever.
Thank you, yeah. And it just talks about that and just fighting demons and stuff. Whereas this woman who, I forgot what her name was, she finds out, like, she has, like, these powers, which really shocked me because I didn't think she would know all those things. And meanwhile, there's a lot of mention about it, about, you know, all that. And these guys who he hangs out with, they were saying that they were going to probably kick him out, you know, after this whole thing was over and everything. And they didn't know that because they were in another world. So these demons who come in the end to see this woman, she wants to just find out more about information. And there was one piece of information that if those two went through the gates, like, things wouldn't go so well if they went through the gates. And they went through the gates at the end of the issue. And
that's what brought the demons out.
That's what really brought the demons out. So I don't want to give too much away of the book because I really want you guys to really read it. This is recommended to read, The Occultist. I'm enjoying reading this comic book, and I am absolutely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next, as well as all the demonistic, supernatural stuff in the spirit world, that we will see in the upcoming issues of that. And that's all.
Alright. Next, we going into Triple Helix, issue 3, coming out of IDW.
Mm-hmm.
I love John Byrne's artwork. I have to say that first and foremost. So now they're looking for a cure for Rock, and they actually do cure him.
They did, yeah.
Not only do they cure him, they super cure him. He goes back to normal. He's cured, but something else is going on. You read this book, so why don't you talk a little bit about
there's
this? Because I don't remember. This was the first book I read, and you guys know it's been a hectic week for me. So
as well as for me too. So, but there's stuff that's going on, and in the city where they're fighting this new villain, and Rock knows that it's happening, and he transforms back into it, knowing that it's very risky.
Yeah, he's like,
they just
he actually asks, if I do this again, am I ever going to be able to change back? He's like, screw it. I got to do it. I got to help my friends.
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah, and there's a scientist, this girl, like, she wants to know the story of the Triple Helix, like how that was. And there's an origin story about that, which you guys should read. But it's a very emotional story, that part, about how the mother died and how she is the way she is, because that's another reason what you want to know the way she was. But in the end, oh man, to be continued. There are unstoppable robots. And this does not look good for all of mankind in this comic book. So my jaw dropped when I saw that part, and I'm like, oh, this is to be continued. I definitely got to read the next issue, because this comic book, it builds excitement. That's what I like about Triple Helix.
Yeah, it builds a great suspense. I enjoyed it. John Byrne wrote and drew a very good story.
He does a great job on this comic of Triple Helix.
Absolutely. Now we're going into Valiant with an all-new story arc. Shadow Man, issue number 13. So basically, what's his name?
What name? Shadow Man?
Yeah.
Jack Boniface.
Yeah, and Jack wants to get rid of the curse of the Shadow Man.
Well, also finding out why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
You know, his behavior, thingamajigger.
So he actually goes to a voodoo witch to try to get it out of him.
Yeah, like just
either to understand him more or to get rid of it. And she tries to help him, and then she realizes that he's Shadow Man, and she realizes what the soul is, and she actually attacks him. And the rest of the book is basically a fight until Shadow Man kind of escapes.
Yeah, and you feel bad for the character because he's so confused. Like, he's saying, I want to know, why I am the way I am, and he's just not finding the answer.
No, yeah, exactly.
Because you feel for the character. Like if you were in his shoes trying to figure out everything, to put the puzzle together, and they never come together, it's very hard for him, and that's why he is the way he is.
And his temper is very dangerous also.
So the temper, that's explained, or was explained through his childhood life, which was, I think, before this issue, or was it in the...
previous issue.
Yeah, it was in the origin book. Yeah.
I would highly recommend Shadow Man. Shadow Man, Exo Man of War, and Unity are my favorite series that come out of Valiant each and every week. Each and every month, not week. Each and every month. And yeah, definitely something I would highly, highly, highly recommend you guys check out. Company in whole, I would definitely recommend checking out Valiant. And really quick, before we get into the last book, let's just switch the button. Let's just push the button once on the camera. So hang tight, and we'll be right back at the push of a button, and then we'll conclude with this last comic of the week. And we're back with a new camera because the other one dies after the second time around. So, final book of the week actually comes from Michael. And it's The Fox issue 2, which I believe came out last week actually, which was November 27th, 2013.
Yes.
And what did you think? Because I'm not really reading The Fox, but it looks nice.
I think that The Fox is a very enjoyable and fun read. The Fox, you know, he reminds me so much of Spider-Man, The Fox, with his whole sarcastic jokes, and he bows with Chief Fox from what we see in the cover.
But it's an illusion.
But it's, like Chris said, an illusion. He meets up with a new character in the book, and they talk about like how they were brought to there because the Queen told them in the last issue that they wanted them to help her husband in the Empire. There's a little bit of a story that she talks about that behind this of who her husband is and etc., which is really interesting. You should read the book. Artwork is really spectacular and classically drawn, and there's just like a whole bunch of stuff that's in this comic that she talks about with him about you know, to give the wand back, and he just runs away with it, you know, and it just goes back and forth where he's on the raft, on the waterfall, and it's very adventurous to see where it's going to lead up to for further issues, because in the end he finds something very weird of those thorns with a head on it.
I found that very weird just now.
Disturbing, really. That he found out it was his own head. Now, what that plays is where it left off, and to be continued for the next one. But really, guys, The Fox is enjoyable. I find it as a fun read. It reminds me of my favorite superhero from Marvel, Spider-Man, as always. And I think you guys will enjoy it if you read the comic book. Definitely.
Yep. And with that, guys, that's it for the indie review this week.
Yep.
All great books this week. Nothing bad to say about anything.
Nope.
So, once again, thank you guys for sticking around for this indie review. We are exhausted, so we look like we're ready to fall asleep. So really quickly, don't forget to check out comicrelated.com, comicfrontline.com, or darkavengerinc.com. We are all your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and more. We are already planning for 2014. And if you guys thought this was a big year, this year is going to be nothing compared to what we're already talking about in 2014. So buckle your seatbelts, because a lot is going to be going on with all 3 websites plus.
Yep.
So we are definitely looking to make an extreme mark next year. One that will possibly change all of our lives and all of your guys' viewing lives.
Yeah.
But until then, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to Dark Avenger Inc., please do if you enjoy what you see. If you have not checked out Comic Frontline or Comic Related yet, please check them out. If you enjoy the websites, bookmark them. This way you can come back and check them out whenever you like. We update all of our websites 24/7, 7 days a week. Well, not 24/7. That would mean there's 24 videos each day. Let's just say we update almost every single day on Dark Avenger Inc. And Comic Frontline and Comic Related is a daily update. There's always something new on Comic Frontline and Comic Related. We are working to make that a Dark Avenger Inc. thing also, but there are 1 or 2 days where there's nothing uploaded on Dark Avenger Inc. But those are far and in between. So for the most part, Dark Avenger Inc. too, we have something up every single day. So every day there's something new to come back to when you log into your computer. So please do check out all of our things. There's also a bunch of links on Dark Avenger Inc.'s channel leading to other websites where one or more of our members are actually a part of or owns. So if you're even more interested in checking out even more stuff, check out those links as well.
Yep.
And with that, guys, thank you guys so much for sticking around with us. Ready to fall asleep. Probably going to fall asleep right after we turn the camera off. Take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we will see you guys And we will see you guys in the next indie review. Look forward tomorrow to the vlog before Christmas. Still have to edit that. And look forward to my Superman Files review, which is probably going to go up either directly after this or after the vlog before Christmas.
This is the 10th episode. It's time to go on the road to our 20th.
Let's just worry about the 100th. How about that?
Well, 100's going to be
there you
a
go.
Big one.
Take care, everybody. See you guys next week
Later, guys.
for the indie review. But we will see you guys tomorrow night.
The comic review.
Well, actually Monday morning. We're filming it tomorrow night, but we'll see you guys really soon.
You gotta stop hurting yourself.
I'm hurting myself. Good night, everybody.
Stop.
Just whatever. See you later, everybody.